Hello and welcome to section 2, part 1 video. Today we're going to be looking at inside the eukaryotic cell. Between the part 1 and part 2 videos, we're going to look at what a cytoskeleton does, how the DNA direct activity in the cytoplasm, which organelles are involved in protein production. We're going to look and learn about vesicles and vacuoles, and we're going to see how the cell gets its energy. So to begin with, we're going to talk about what we call the cytoskeleton. And the cytoskeleton of the cell is kind of what gives the cell its shape, and it helps the cell move, and it kind of helps organize its parts because it's the network of protein fibers that provides like the interior framework of that cell. So when we're looking at drawings, you can see down here in the lower left corner, we kind of have all these, they almost look like little sticks, but this is our cytoskeleton, okay? Or it's kind of like what gives that cell its structure and shape. If we look at like an image of a real cell, you can see how intricate and how like interconnected and how it's crossing all over, and it's kind of the support system of that cell. When we look at the activity of a cell, it all is going to start with the DNA instructions. The DNA instructions are going to be copied as what we call RNA messages, and then these are going to leave the nucleus. And in the cytoplasm, we have these things called ribosomes, okay? And the ribosomes are going to use the RNA messages to assemble proteins. And we're going to be talking and looking at how this works here over the course of the next couple of sections. So in the 7.1 video, we talked about how eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. Around the nucleus is a double membrane called the nuclear envelope, okay? And this kind of surrounds the nucleus. And this nuclear envelope has pores that are located kind of all throughout it, and these act as channels, and this is what's going to allow certain molecules to move in or out of the nucleus. Inside of the nucleus, we have what we call a nucleolus, okay? And this is where ribosome parts are actually made. The ribosome parts are then going to be transported out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm, where they're going to be assembled to form the complete ribosome. And we'll take a picture, or take a look at a picture here on the next slide. Okay, so if we look over here in the upper left corner there, you can see the picture of an entire cell. And in the center of that cell, we have our nucleus and our nuclear envelope here. So if we kind of enlarge that and look at this big picture here, this is our nuclear envelope, which we can label as D. So we have a nuclear envelope. And you can see that A here is pointing to those nuclear pores. B is pointing to the DNA within that nuclear envelope. And then this dark shape here in the middle is the actual nucleus. Okay, next we're going to look at ribosomes. And we have a couple different types of ribosomes that we're going to look at. Now ultimately, each ribosome in a cell is made of RNA and different proteins. Okay, ribosomes that are suspended in the cytosol are what we call free ribosomes, okay? So they're kind of free to move about. And these make proteins that remain inside of the cell. We also have ribosomes that are attached to the membrane of another organelle, and this is what we call bound ribosomes. The bound ribosomes are going to make their proteins that are going to be exported out of the cell. And depending upon which proteins are needed, okay, ribosomes can actually switch back and forth between being bound or being free. And again, that will be dictated based upon what the cell needs to make. This is going to conclude the part 1 video. In the part 2 video, we're going to look at protein processing. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great weekend.